way I grind as fast as I possibly can, if you start with a rectangle and you start grinding your flats back, you're removing a lot of material with the maximum amount of contact to the wheel or to the platen, right? So it takes the longest time. It's like taking this box and trying to saw it from this end to this end from the top. It just doesn't cut a lot. So instead, what I like to do is I like to take the 8-inch contact wheel and put myself in a hollow here and here. Then what I'll do is I'll place that where I want on the blade, because that's going to be 2 points of contact for my grind. Now when I come in with the flat platen, I have very minimal contact and I race to the bottom of that hollow. So if you can start with a contact wheel and just put in, you don't have to go too deep, a little bit's enough, but I generally forge in bevels to my pieces. So I start with something that's big and fat and beveled, I put in that hollow on both sides, and when I connect those lines, I end up with a flat. Now if you want to have sort of a saber grind or a Scandi grind, you can put those places where they're going to leave you with your flats up top. If you put them in the middle, you can go with a full-on flat grind all the way to the bottom, or for a chef's knife or what have you. But it races you along compared to grinding flat, and I'll show you how I do it. So the other thing I learned in competition is that use a workrest anytime you can, because standing there grinding a sword doing a static curl for 2 hours, it's just absolutely exhausting. And why not also do that at home, where you don't have to work any harder than you have to? Just do the old adage, work smarter not harder, right? This is working less, not more. In critical areas like the ricasso to the bevel transition, I don't do this particular thing because that's not a lot of grinding, but I will from about half an inch away all the way out to the tip. I'll put this groove in and you'll see how fast it goes. This is kind of a worn out belt, but it's still working, so I'm not going to change it. But I'll put in this groove and then we'll go to the flat. As I was grinding this, I can look over the top and make sure I maintain the slightest of gaps between the wheel and the blade. That tells me where my angle is. If I'm looking like that, I'm grinding the spine. If I'm looking like that, I'm grinding the edge. But if I keep it a little bit off, I'm grinding just off of the edge. And as I go deeper and deeper, if I keep it off and off and off, I'll keep it just that far away from the edge so you can see. And I don't have to do any kind of real measurement to make that happen. It just happens because I'm looking at that gap and I'm maintaining the gap along. Now the other thing that is amazing about these tools is the variety of tools that come with one, essentially, engine package. I mean, the number of tools I have lying about the place is astounding, but it's amazing too. I mean, I've got everything from a disc grinder to a bucking system to all of these different contact wheels and everything. And it's a very amazing company, and it's very innovative in how they develop new things all the time, and they work with customers. I mean, I get on the phone with Ryan and I'm like, hey man, I had an idea, and he'll either say, that sounds great, or he'll be very polite. But either way, it's a good conversation. So again, I'm going to go back to the flat platen, and I'm going to use a workrest because I have ground knives for years and years freehand, and I can do it, but I just find it's easier and quicker to do it with the table, and it's you go home at the end of the day and you're not wrecked. If you look at how thick this edge is right now, I'm going to hit this with the flat platen for just a couple of strokes, and you're going to see this come down very quickly. And that's the magic of this hollow grind. One hit, you can see the change in thickness. I haven't even gotten to the bottom of the hollow yet. but you can see the difference, obviously, in thickness that this technique did. And still haven't reached the bottom of this hollow, but I did all this side. The other super trick to winning competitions is always grab a fresh belt. And this belt has seen 2 swords and 4 knives, so it's not grinding as fast as it was. But what I'd like to do now is put some flats on, and then I will put in a fuller, and I'll show you how easy the fuller is to do when you have the right tools to put it in.